right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Josh, and with me is my co-host.
It's your boy Nick.
And we got a special guest back again. We have Jenna. That's back again.
I am a special back.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, special guest, you know what I mean? Back again. Love to have her on the show. She's always brings, great energy, great life to the show. So she's here again. How are you, Jenna?
I'm all right. I missed you guys. So
Yeah.
good to hang out.
And we missed you too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. You don't have to lie, Nick. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's good, good to have her on again, and especially with all the topics that we have going on today. We're going to be discussing Reminiscence, the Hugh Jackman film that is in theaters as well as HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be discussing The Protege, the movie starring Maggie Q and Samuel L. Jackson and Michael Keaton. We're also going to be discussing Respect. We didn't get a chance to review that last week because I was busy. So I had a lot of movies to review that week, so I ended up seeing it Sunday, so I'm going to review it today. We're also going to be discussing, of course, a new episode of What If. We're going to be doing weekly reviews for that, discussing all the new episodes for that as they come out. Also, Nick, he got a chance to see Snake Eyes. He didn't get a chance to see it when it came out because it didn't premiere in Japan when it came out, but now it's on streaming services, so
I know.
So now he has an opportunity to review it. And something that also... Oh, yeah?
Oh, and something that I finally got Josh to watch, fucking Warrior.
Yeah.
After months and months and months of me plugging that show for him.
Yeah. He's been bugging me about that show forever. Asked me, like, we're going to put Warrior on the show? Are we going to review Warrior? We're going to bring that on the show? He's been asking me that for the past, 3-4 weeks about Warrior. So finally get a chance to discuss Warrior and everything like that. And for him to kind of geek out about that. So, everything like that. So how's everybody doing?
I'm good. My girls, she took Bubbles out to have a girls' day, so it's just me at home. It's peaceful. It's like no one bugging me. My Bubbles isn't barking my ear off. It's nice. It's quiet for the first time in months.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. But usually Bubbles, she brings the views, though. I don't know if that was a smart decision. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just keeping Bubbles at home,
That's a little exploitative.
Hey, I mean, come on. We need to do everything we can, you know what I mean? We're at 48 followers right now. We're just 2 away from being kind of one of the statuses to be affiliated, So if we do that and then get an average of 3 viewers, we'll be officially affiliated in Twitch, so... So we've been kind of moving up there, so that's pretty nice, getting some more followers and everything like that. But yeah, so hopefully we don't want to make the show too long because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, because we got a lot of news to talk about as well, because we're going to be talking about Star Wars Visions.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new trailer that dropped there. We got the Eternals. They dropped their final trailer. We also have He-Man. He-Man's going to have a new show that's not related to the Kevin Smith show right now on Netflix. It's a completely different type of show that's CGI animated. So we're going to be discussing that. Also, we're going to give a little bit of tribute to Sony Shiba, who recently passed away due to COVID complications at 82. So we're going to discuss him, martial arts legend. There's some Black Panther 2 news that just dropped with the whole thing about Ironheart is going to be in Black Panther 2. Also, Awkwafina, is she black or is she not black? We're gonna be answering that question for you people today. And trying
the answer.
You know what I mean? Is she using, or kind of is she using that black scent? We're going to be bringing up some examples, a little bit of her career and kind of times maybe she has used it, has not. So we're going to be giving our little discussion about that, topics about that Awkwafina, because the conversation of her kind of black scent came up again. I mean, it's always been a thing, people have talked about, but it's kind of come up again recently due to the whole Shang-Chi thing that's come up, and now that she's in that movie, and so now that kind of conversations come back up again. All right, so to get right started here, I'm going to be discussing The Protege. Now, I only saw the movie. Jena and Nick did not. So in The Protege, you have Maggie Q here, who plays an assassin, along with Samuel L. Jackson, who plays an assassin. It's actually kind of funny because it's like Samuel L. Jackson in this is almost playing his same character again from Hitman's Bodyguard. Like, you almost like kind of take that character from that movie and just put him in this movie, like you could almost say it as like a spinoff. Like the only real difference primarily is just he doesn't say motherfucker or fuck a lot. That's pretty much even though
0 out of 10.
Yeah,
0 out of 10.
He says like the fuck I think just once in the whole movie, but he doesn't say mother. I don't think he says motherfucker at all. If memory serves me correctly.
That's why the Suicide Squad was an amazing movie. That's why.
Yeah, because you could just be violent and curse all you want and something like this. But this is the Protege is also it is R-rated in itself too, and you got some good action scenes here. It's directed by Martin Campbell, who is most famous for doing the James Bond movies. Of course, he did GoldenEye. He also did Casino Royale, considered two of the best James Bond movies in the entire franchise. So here he is. He's directing this. You have an assassin movie, and typically with spy assassin movies, they usually follow three kind of plots, right? One of the plots is the organization that you work for has betrayed you, and now you're seeking revenge against the organization. The second plot is that your past has come back to haunt you, and then now you must kind of come to reconcile with that. A third one, this is primarily with spy movies particularly, is there's a list of names on a hard drive, and you got to go get the list of names. That's always a big one too. Like that was in like a Bond movie. I remember that. I think that was the whole premise of Skyfall. That was the premise in one of the Mission Impossible movies. Like there's a whole list of names on a hard drive, and you gotta go get it. And another one is you were doing a job and you killed somebody that you probably weren't meant to inadvertently, or you didn't know who the person was, and that person turned out to be the mob boss's son or something. So now the big crime boss is going to come after you with all his men. So that's another big one. This one is the whole past has come back to haunt you type situation. That's primarily what this one is here going on in Protege, because Samuel Jackson, here he plays kind of the mentor, obviously, to the Maggie Q character. That's where you get the whole Protege coming from here. He met her when she was a little girl in Vietnam, and there was a situation kind of that his past came back and it ended up kind of killing him, the Samuel Jackson character, and now Maggie Q is on a quest of revenge and answers of the people who killed him in the film. Here, like I said, I think the action is it's satisfactory. It meets standards. I think it is very kind of enjoyable. With an R rating, there's a lot of kind of good headshots and kind of good action scenes with Maggie Q, who's very familiar with this.
Nick.
Oh, what?
Sorry, no, he was yawning, and that's how I felt about this movie. I was just like, this movie sounds boring as hell. It doesn't sound original at all. Like it sounds like this should have been released on Netflix. Was this released on Netflix?
No, it wasn't. It was theaters. It was in theaters. But Maggie Q, she's not unfamiliar to this type of work, given the fact that she was in the CW show called Nikita, which was the TV show based off of the film La Femme Nikita, which was Luc Besson's big breakout film, which also had another TV show too, which came out in France in 1997. But they rebooted it, and reimagined it here in America, like in the early 2010s, that Maggie Q starred in. And Maggie Q is a good action lead. I think she does very well in the action scenes, and when they are choreographed very well. There's some kind of action scenes because Michael Keaton is also in this movie. He plays, kind of one of the major figures in this movie of her trying to get the answers. And Michael Keaton is very good, in it as well. I mean, there's even some scenes where him and her are flirting, even though Michael Keaton is literally twice her age. He's still got some good game. You know what I mean? Like Michael Keaton's 69 years old and Maggie Q is 42, but he still got.
Wait, how old is he?
69. He is 69. Just like
nice.
Just like Stephen Lang that we talked about before. I mean, Michael Keaton still looks really great. Still keeps himself looking really good. There's clearly time.
He's about to play Batman again. He's got to keep himself in shape.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's going to be in the upcoming Flash movie, reprising his role as Batman again. So here in this, there's some of the action scenes that he's involved in. Clearly, you can tell when there's a stunt double when he's in it and he's fighting. You can clearly kind of tell. And then there's some moments where they do kind of do shots that are kind of wide shots, where he does some hand-to-hand scenes. But those scenes are kind of not as fun to watch because it's a lot of you can tell it's like, okay, I hit my mark here, and then you have to do this, and then when I do this, then you do this. I mean, you can tell how because they have to kind of slow it down because he's obviously an older guy, so you can tell they have to slow it down a little bit when he's involved. And with the whole relationship between Maggie Q and Samuel L. Jackson, like them having this father-daughter relationship, I think it's nice in the movie. I think, it's kind of a, nice relationship, but we've seen, kind of this similar type of relationship, before, between kind of two figures like this, assassin, mentor type relationship. And, I think that's kind of a fine element in the movie. But, I mean, when it comes to the action elements of it, I think that's really what you're really coming here for. And they're just okay. Like I said, they're fine, satisfactory. The whole movie is kind of that way, in a sense. And it doesn't ever excel at anything it particularly is doing. It doesn't excel at the action. It doesn't excel at the characters. It just kind of just meets meets that standard. All the way across the board. It's just a C. You know what I mean? When your teacher used to write on your report card, when you got all C's, satisfactory. I mean, that's what you would give it. And
that's what you did on the test.
Yeah.
You did all C's on the test to try to get at least a 70.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just at least a 70%, because C's get degrees. I mean, that's what happens. So, you know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah, so,
they do.
So that's what that's what this movie kind of does. It just doesn't particularly excel at anything. It just kind of meets that kind of standard of just like a good action film. I think this would have been better, like Jenna said, if you had to put it on Netflix instead of doing something like if you put it in theaters. But overall, I kind of would give it maybe a 6 out of 10 for me. I think that some kind of good moments in the movie that you see around that you could kind of enjoy, but it doesn't ever rise to the level of something like the modern action movies that we've seen, like of course like the John Wick movies, or even kind of something along those lines, or something like Atomic Blonde. It doesn't ever kind of rise to those levels of that kind of action. But you could get some good enjoyment out of it for a little bit if you were maybe to see it on TV or something like that. So that would, for me, I would give it a 6 out of 10 for me.
Would you say if you put this on and you're on a date, y'all would not be watching the movie?
I mean, I think there's some good enough parts in it that keep you invested, like sitting at home, watching it, because there's some good, kind of nice scenes where she's taking out guys and, just kind of, very strategic and everything like that, really, knocking people out. And I think that's kind of fun. But overall, yeah, I wouldn't say it's, maybe it'd be better at home to keep your interest if you were to see it there rather than see it in a movie theater, and
he said, "Nah, it's watching us." That was the nicest way of saying it's watching us. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just give it a 6 out of 10 for me. All right. So moving on from discussing the Protege, we're going to be discussing Nick. You're going to come along with Snake Eyes. Give your thoughts on that real quick, and what did you think?
Yeah, so I finally got a chance to see this after months, because Japan's release schedule is weird, which is especially weird with this movie considering how much of it was filmed in Japan. Like throughout it, I spotted landmarks that I've seen out and about, so it was kind of weird that they didn't play it here earlier. So what you get is it's reframed essentially as a Yakuza story. You have Snake Eyes basically just working with the Yakuza until he runs into Tommy, who's played by Andrew Koji, aka my man crush, who eventually becomes Storm Shadow in this. So what works about it is I like the world building with the Yakuza. I like how kind of like this ever-present threat that Cobra is, even though they don't really come into it until like towards the end. I like the performances from Henry Golding, Andrew Koji, and Haruka Abe. I think they carry this movie, but the action scenes pull the fucking camera back. Jesus
no,
Christ.
They do that? I hate that so much.
And it's frustrating. You have great stunt people behind this. You have actors who can do everything. You have a guy on the second unit who was one of the choreographers for Flashpoint. They should have just drove the dump truck of money to Gareth Evans' house and just said, do whatever you want with this. So for me, it pains me to say it, but I got to give it a 4 out of 10.
Wow, just a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, the action scenes pulled me out of it so much.
Was this a theatrical release also, or was this Netflix?
It was. Yeah, it was theatrical.
Wow.
I was disappointed. Excuse me, I have to use the bathroom.
Oh, okay, yeah, use the bathroom. Okay. He was disappointed. So Nick just gave it a 4 out of 10. Hopefully Andrew Koji doesn't kill him in the bathroom while he's there. But yeah.
Yeah, he's talking all that mess. That would be a horrible way to die on the toilet. It would be.
Yeah. Well,
that's not how I want to go out.
I don't know. Maybe if there's a heaven and Elvis is in it, I'm gonna ask him how did it feel to die on the toilet? Like, did you just? I mean, how would that feel? You know what I mean? Possibly so. But yeah, that's. I don't think I was that harsh on Snake Eyes. 4 out of 10. I think I gave it maybe a strong 5 or 6 out of 10. I think, if I remember correctly. I have to go check back the reviews. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the reviews that you did. It kind of.
Oh, this is the new G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins.
I just got up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I was looking forward to this. I was hoping that this would be good.
I thought
man.
Yeah, I did. Like Nick said, I think one of my biggest criticisms was the action scenes, which is the main thing you want to come to this movie to go see. And then, this is PG-13, so obviously they can't show a whole lot of violence and a whole lot of brutality there. Because obviously you're dealing with characters who are using samurai swords, and they're just chopping each other away, but there's no blood, there's nothing like that. So it's just like, it's just...
Oh, so it's like the CW of G.I. Joe franchise. That's what it sounds like.
Pretty much. G.I. Joe's always been pretty neutered, you know what I mean? They never really showed any kind of hardcore stuff. Yeah. Because even in the cartoon stuff, people would blow out of planes, but they would always have parachutes, and they would just use parachute. You didn't really see anybody ever potentially die, I don't think. It was always they always escaped. Escape something.
The fact that G.I. Joes are so, technologically decked out, when originally these were small little green, and then they just progressed to,
yeah.
I don't know. It's scary.
Yeah. So that was a shame. Yeah. But real quick, I guess while Nick is gone, I guess I can do Respect real quick since he's gone.
Sure.
Yeah. So RESPECT. What does that mean for me? So, is that how it goes? I think I just.
Why did you say it like that?
I think I just messed.
Give me your black card. Give me your black card right now.
I had my headphones hooked up, and that was painful.
Yeah, I just messed that up. Sorry about that. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was trying. Yeah, I was like, wait, how's it say it again? How's it go again? What's the first line again? Oh shit.
RESPECT.
Yeah.
Tell me what it means to.
Tell me what it means to me.
RESPECT. We don't know the rest of that. No one knows what she's saying in that second verse. It's like music legend mythology. No one knows what the hell she's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
I'll hold your back card.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was like, oh wait, hold on. I was spelling out the word, and I was like, oh shit, how's the first lyric go again? Hold on. Let me try to remember. Oh crap. But yeah, so you have Respect, which is the biopic about Aretha Franklin, starring Jennifer Hudson, Forest Whitaker, and Marlon Wayans. So in this film, and then Aretha Franklin said herself that if there's any person that she ever would want to play her in a film, it would be Jennifer Hudson. Given the fact that, of course, Jennifer Hudson has this amazing voice, one of the best singers.
Yeah, she does.
She does, and that's kind of one of the best parts of the movie is just hearing her sing and hearing her perform all the Aretha Franklin's hits and everything like that. That's kind of some of the best parts of this movie is when you have her kind of perform. Throughout the movie, though, I would say this movie is 2 hours plus. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes, and for a movie and for a movie that is that long, you don't really feel like there's that much depth to it because it goes through a lot of majority of her life, up till when she's like a little girl, and then it flashes to when she's 18 years old. And it talks about major events that happen in her life. For example, I don't know much about Aretha Franklin's life or her kind of legacy or everything like that. I know I've listened to Aretha Franklin's albums before, and I actually know of her legacy in the music industry, being dubbed the Queen of Soul. She got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But one thing, though, I didn't know is that she was sexually assaulted at the age of 12. And due to that sexual assault, she did wind up being pregnant. So the movie does show a scene where somebody's talking to her, and then all of a sudden the guy closes the door, and then it cuts, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Then it, you know, cuts, and then it never really goes back to that again. It never really follows up with that. And then you don't learn until that she did get pregnant when she was a little girl, until much later in the movie when it flashes back to that period of her life. And then, you know, because when you see her when she's 18, she already has 2 kids. So it's like, okay, what happened in that period of time, you know what I mean, that had, you know, 2 kids, especially since that her, you know, father was this huge preacher, you know, in Detroit, and, you know, had to lead this huge congregation, and, you know, was hugely this influential figure. And like her family, you know, she had a lot of famous family friends, because like there's other black historical figures in this, like Dinah Washington, who's played by Mary J. Blige. You have Sam Cooke, who's in here. You also have like Martin Luther King, who's in here by a guy that looks absolutely nothing like Martin Luther King. Like if I were to show you a picture of the guy who's playing Martin Luther King, you'd go like, if I showed you and I said, guess what historical figure is this guy playing? I bet you would never guess Martin Luther King is that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the only thing is just like he's got a little mustache like Martin Luther King. That's it. Totally does not look anything like Martin Luther King.
I guess he's just one of those guys that you can never get somebody who like looks like him to play him in a movie.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's just like, I don't know why. I mean, you know, he's just like, but this is definitely not the guy you'd want to get to ever be in a Martin Luther King biopic. I mean, most definitely. But so she, you know, had a lot of famous family friends, and, you know, was around a lot of black historical figures because of, you know, her father's involvement and kind of, you know, leading the church and everything like that. So, but you don't ever see, like, you know, obviously her being a young girl, you know, at the age of 12 being pregnant. I mean, that's a huge thing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, especially if you're the preacher's daughter. I mean, that's, but they'd never really touch on things like that. And then,
apart from being the preacher's daughter, she's 12.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
12 years old.
Yeah, I mean that is something right there. So
I can't imagine. Do you remember where you were mentally as a 12-year-old?
No.
Can you imagine having a child at that age?
Yeah, and
that's just like, I forgot about that. Like, I remember hearing it about her, but I had forgotten about it.
Yeah, so I mean that would have been kind of something to really kind of, you know, talk about in the movie and to kind of build on everything like that, because, you know, as the movie kind of progresses, you see kind of other things they kind of pick up but then drop. Like, for instance, like I said, you know, her being around like other black historical figures like Martin Luther King, she got involved in the civil rights movement, and, you know, she was talking about like Angela Davis, and when, you know, kind of when Martin Luther King got killed, it was all about, you know, who's kind of going to pick up, you know, after that, and who's going to be the kind of the new leader. And then Angela Davis, she was like, well, I think Angela Davis is a big figure who could do this. And, you know, she hears on the news that Angela Davis got put in prison, and she's like, and then she holds like this big press conference, like, you know, we have to free Angela Davis, you know what I mean? And we have to get her out of prison. The movie never goes back to that. Like, if you were to watch this movie and not read anything else, you would still think Angela Davis' ass is still in prison. Like, you think she's just still sitting there twiddling her thumbs and everything like that. It's like, so it just like, it's very interesting how it kind of picks up those things and kind of just drops them like that in a movie that's, especially it's 2 hours, and, you know, you can cover a lot of material in that. You know, and I think, you know, other kind of things in her life come in, like, you know, how she was married to her husband, who's played by Marlon Wayans, who I think does a very good job. And he does seem like Marlon Wayans in this film puts on like a little bit of a voice. I don't know if that's how the real guy talked or something, but he kind of talks with this little bit of bravado and kind of his voice and swagger a little bit. But she was in a domestic abuse situation with her husband. I didn't know that about Aretha Franklin, but, you know, so that was in this movie and how she dealt with that. You know, she also kind of dealt with a lot of demons regarding, you know, alcoholism. So it touches on that. And the way it kind of touches on those things is very formulaic a little bit, like somewhat the movie is, where it shows her rise and her fall, you know, when she's like a little girl, and then it shows when she's, you know, trying to progress in the music business, and, you know, she gets signed to Columbia Records, and they say like, well, I mean, you've made 9 albums and you haven't had a hit yet. We don't kind of know what to do with you, so we kind of going to drop you. And it's kind of showing like when she made her, first like big hit, which was, Respect, and how that kind of catapulted her to success and everything. So when you see that big success, of course, is going to come in these type of biopic movies, the fall with something. Usually the person has like drugs or alcohol that usually kind of cripples them and things like that. So in this, she's dealing with a lot of alcoholism, and then when she's dealing with it, you see her, bottles everywhere, and her hair is messed up, and she looks all disheveled and everything. She came on stage drunk, stumbling. That scene, like when Jennifer Hudson plays drunk, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of looked like she was kind of that kind of wasn't the best, I don't think, acting in a way, because it looked like she was just kind of on a hula hoop in a way, like just kind of shaking around a little bit, drinking, sipping. So I didn't think that was kind of the best. A little bit, that was a little cliche.
It wasn't realistic enough for you.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
She's not an alcoholic. She's a Hollywood alcoholic.
Yeah, you know what I mean. She kind of looked like Enchantress from the Suicide Squad a little bit, with she was kind of dancing like that.
She said,
"Yeah,
popping lock."
Yes, yeah. She pretty much looked like that. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie, has a lot of good performances in it, and like Mark Maron, he shows up as another, record producer of hers that comes in later in the movie, and it kind of, when he kind of comes into the scene, like, first of all, I mean, Marlon Wayne's character is kind of funny in some of these scenes because his character has a problem with everybody, like even black or white, you know what I mean, especially white. I mean, it's like he's just an asshole. I mean, he just has conflicts with everybody throughout the whole movie. And this is like this one funny scene where because she goes and meets this white band that helps her write, kind of the big hit. And when, he's trying to apologize, like, I'm sorry what my band player did. I fired him. He's done. And then, Marlon Wayans gets into a huge fight with him and just constantly just insults the guy, calls him, whitey, and you know what I mean, and just cracker and all this other stuff. And he's like, man, I'm trying to be nice, man. I'm not trying to say what I want to say, but you really pushing me, man. And then they get into like this huge fight. It's like, this shit is just hilarious. Like this dude is an asshole, like in just the worst way. Yeah, I mean, I think what kind of bogs this movie down is the formulaic nature of it. It's got good performances, like Forrest Whitaker, as the father, is really good, and Jennifer Hudson's really good, Marlon Wayans is good, but it's just kind of the formulaic nature of the plot and the story, and just the fact that they pick up a lot of these story plot points and just don't go back to them. The civil rights thing, that's very interesting. They don't really go back to that much. The sexual abuse that she suffered. I mean, you can see that as a basis for why she developed her alcoholism, but there's not really much time spent with that. So, I mean, I think it is a strong movie, and it is good to learn more about the life of Aretha Franklin, her music, her contributions to all the music and everything like that. Because she is the queen of soul, and they even show, like, when the credits roll, they show her performing at the late age of, in her 70s, because Aretha Franklin passed away 3 years ago, at the age of 79, I believe. And it does show at the end of the credits when she's performing in front of Obama, and you can still see she had that great voice, and it was big, and she was kind of killing the room. I mean, she was bringing the house down. I mean, it was amazing when the credits roll and everything like that. So I would give it a strong 6 out of 10 for me with that. So yeah, that is Respect. All right, so moving on from that.
I feel like after Walk Hard, you can kind of just put the musical biopic genre away.
I mean, I think there's people who do some good stuff with it. Like, I did like Rocket Man. I think Elton John. I think what was cool about Rocket Man was that it was a musical, but it used Elton John's music to tell the story of his life. So it went around,
and it didn't shy away from portraying him like an asshole, which he very well was when he was a drug addict.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I'd like kind of something like Get On Up, even though Get On Up was kind of that same kind of formulaic nature, but it tried to use these little things where it would kind of do these short kind of little stories, and then it would kind of go back and pick them up. Like, it would start off when he was at his humble beginnings, when he was a little boy, being poor and growing up, and then it would flash to when he was hugely successful. Then it would flash to when it was like he was an up-and-coming musician. Then it would flash back to when he was the poor boy. So it would kind of do these little short kind of films within the film of James Brown's life to kind of cut it up, to try to make it a little bit interesting, to kind of keep you involved. So I think some of the stuff. I mean, you can do some cool stuff with kind of the musical biopic nature, a little bit like that. But
Yeah, but
yeah. All right. So moving on from discussing respect. I did not respect Aretha Franklin by fucking up that song, but we are going to move on discussing Reminiscence. Now, this is a movie that we all saw. It is the Hugh Jackman movie that is on HBO Max currently, so you all can watch it if you have HBO Max. It's also starring Rebecca Ferguson, who people might know. She was in Doctor Sleep. She's also in the Mission Impossible movies. Love me some Rebecca Ferguson. I think she's really, really great. Here, you have a story, a sci-fi kind of dystopian future where Hugh Jackman works in this kind of job where he can help people process their memories, kind of gain information. He puts them in like this tub type situation where he can kind of access these people's memories and get information from them. A situation happens where a woman walks through the door. It happens to be Rebecca Ferguson. Very kind of classic detective noir story. That's basically kind of what this is. It's kind of like a detective noir story, much in the line of something like Blade Runner, but with a sci-fi background aesthetic. So when, kind of this Rebecca Ferguson comes in as the classic femme fatale type of situation, even wearing a beautiful, gorgeous, like red dress she's wearing, which, I mean, if I saw somebody walk into a job, trying to do an appointment like that, I'd be like, okay, what the hell are you doing? I mean, what do you want? I mean, cause it's like, you dress way too nice to just go for for a simple appointment that you're coming in here for. You must really want something. But
didn't even have an appointment, just walked in.
Yeah, just kind of walked in. Kind of so when she goes missing, it kind of sets off this mystery of him finding her, and kind of asking all these questions. So, what did you guys think about the movie, Jenna? Since we've been talking for most of it, I'll let you kind of start it off here.
So I am always gonna be a huge Hugh Jackman fan. I want you to know I practice that because that huge Hugh Jackman, like that's, yeah. Sorry. No, I was already on board because of the cast already. I thought, so these are one of the movies where I'm not going to sit here and say, greatest movie ever made. This reinvented the wheel, or this didn't. I'm trying to think of the last. There's like a sci-fi movie on Hulu that kind of played with the same idea, but more so about past lives. But it's still like basically touched upon the ideas of memory and the philosophy of memory. It reminded me of this, just not as bad. So it was like, I liked this movie. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's a great film. But what I liked most about it actually was that it wasn't, I like the emotional beats in this film. Surprisingly enough, I didn't think I would get as invested into the story and kind of the twists and turns. You know what I mean? Because it's giving simple detective almost, right? Because he has to. There's like codes, and I'm not gonna give it. But there's. It's a detective movie. That's what it's giving. But I think the premise and the fact that they didn't really focus on the technology, but they focused a lot more on interactions of the characters and the consequences of their actions and like their desires and their wants. It was just a much more interesting and much more enjoyable experience than I thought I was going to have. I was like, I don't know, the promo for it wasn't really convincing, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. It's definitely like a 7 out of 10 for me. But again, I'm biased because I like Hugh Jackman. He can, I mean, he was in the X-Men movies. Let's talk about it,
He was also in X-Men Origins. He was in X-Men Origins.
Yeah.
So calm down there.
Yeah, so I'm a little biased. But I love Prestige. I think that was the film that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that film is... Mm-hmm.
That film, I think, personally, that film mixed sci-fi with drama a little bit better because the writing was better, but I enjoyed this film nonetheless.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, so I kind of have the opposite opinion of Jena. I felt this movie, it was one, it was too long, and it feels like it would have worked better as a miniseries, considering who was the writer and director. It's Lisa Joy, who was one of the writers and showrunners for Westworld. And you could definitely see a lot of influence from that in this, with the long, heady dialogue, the long diatribes about about the philosophy of memory, and the narration that goes on for way too long.
Yeah.
And the dialogue that is basically 90% exposition.
Yeah.
I am a philosophy major, so again, I'm biased.
Okay.
Yep. I think it has a lot of interesting concepts, interesting technology. I did like some of the world building that's in here. But for me, it's the performances. They're fine. But besides Hugh Jackman and Daniel Wu, who's basically playing this like New Orleans like Chinese gangster who is just so over the top, it ends up being hilarious whenever he's on screen. I woke up. That was the time I woke up during this movie.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm kind of more in the line with Nick for me. I was absolutely bored by this film. I thought a lot of the Hugh Jackman narration reminded me of the narration, like I said, like in Blade Runner, where you see that edition of Blade Runner where it had the narration from Harrison Ford, who was absolutely, he sounded bored to tears. Hugh Jackman sounded better than that, but I still was like, I hated the narration in this film. That really kind of put me to sleep almost, about, really, like you said, constant diatribes about, the state of the human being in the world and everything like that of the outside, because this takes place in, this futuristic Miami, but it still looks really terrible looking, like I said, more dystopian. So basically, kind of this trying to kind of recreate that feeling of telling us about this world and how terrible it is and blah, 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 that I just didn't think was that interesting at all. Also, you kind of have stuff like I said, this whole concept of, going to the memories and everything like that. That's a common kind of sci-fi, kind of, thing you see, like stuff like in Total Recall, stuff like in Minority Report, Black Box that we reviewed. We did a review of on that's on Amazon Prime. Dark City, which stars Kiefer Sutherland. So kind of that concept is kind of very familiar about this whole idea of memories and going back and kind of connecting and things like that. And also in this film, Thandie Newton plays Hugh Jackman's partner in the movie as well. They run this operation all about kind of help accessing people's memories. The performances throughout the movie, like people from Cliff Curtis, Daniel Wu, Natalie Martinez, they're fine. They're good performances. They're okay. I don't think they particularly stand out for me in a way. I thought, like the stuff, like I said, it bringing in this whole mystery of him trying to find Rebecca Ferguson and track her down. I thought that was kind of very boring and predictable in a way. I think like you kind of see where it's kind of going to go. Stuff, especially when it involves like, these rich people. I'm like, what happens usually in a case with rich people? What do usually you see in movies with rich people involved in them? What happens? It's like, oh, this is going to happen.
Someone fucked somebody and they trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah. Well, I
don't watch Tyler Perry, but I guess this is my guilty pleasure. I said I liked it. I didn't say it was good. I did warn you. I did warn you guys. Okay, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say all that. Nick. I didn't want to say all that. But usually, you could probably guess it. If I say, usually, what's a big scandal that happens with rich people in media that you see in TVs and movies? What's like a big one? They do this big one. I just wasn't, and then the ending of it. They try to make it like this real nice, beautiful ending. Ending didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I was like, this is kind of a stupid ending to me. And
how, Sway?
Because we'll give our ratings and then we'll talk.
Yeah, really say without going into spoilers for the ending of this movie.
That's true. My bad.
So for me, I would give it a rating of maybe like a low 5, maybe 4 out of 10 for me. Jenna.
I didn't even make this film, and I'm like, my it's it happens. It was reminding me of another film that he did. Has the same type of tone. I don't know. I knew what I was expecting from this film. I guess I didn't have like high expectations for it, so I just took it for what it was. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't expecting too much. I just thought it was a from like that's why I said it's really about the philosophical aspect of it and the characters like motivations. That's where you kind of gotta live and like and kind of just like suspend your imagination and just go with it. Because I don't know, I like the questions that it answered, especially about burnout. You know what I mean, and that type of idea of just like getting caught in a loop. Like I don't know. I actually thought the ending was like a horror movie, actually, but I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this movie, credit to Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan. The first season of Westworld is fucking incredible.
Yes.
Everything else after that, And I feel like the writing in this is on par with the latter seasons of Westworld than the first season. This feels like it's a mashup of a whole bunch of other better movies, but Lisa Joy just doesn't know how to like mesh them all into one cohesive thing. Unlike something like Free Guy, which, yeah, that's another movie that is 100% wearing its influences on its sleeve, but they somehow managed to make that work. The pacing in this, it's glacial. It's 2 hours long. It's at the same time, it's too long and it feels like it's too short.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like it has a whole bunch of ideas and concepts that it's presenting, but it's only telling them in 2 hours, but they don't know how to pace it. So it feels like it drags on forever. This probably should have been a miniseries. I did like the performance from Hugh Jackman and Daniel Wu, but I gotta give it 4 out of 10. I was just bored through most of this movie. There's nothing in here that hasn't been done better in something like Black Mirror.
Yeah. So the spoiler is what happens. So Hugh Jackman, he figures out the whole mystery, and that the woman Rebecca Ferguson, at first he thinks that
Yes, it was Agatha all along.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So the whole thing is throughout the movie. So he's trying to figure out this mystery of like where she went. He she just packed up. She just left. Then he starts picking up things and realizes that she was part, working with this other guy, Cliff Curtis. And he starts thinking that she's like this big criminal con woman, which she was to a degree for a little bit of her life. But she's the con woman with the heart of gold, of course. So when she met him, it turned her all around and she fell in love. So
of course, do you see how hot? Yeah. Do you see how hot Rebecca Ferguson is in this movie? Of course, she's gonna be the con woman with the heart of gold.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, so that's what happened. So. The whole thing, Cliff Curtis was working with, he's working, he got a job from this rich family, and the father, who was played by, what's his name? What's that actor's name? Who's the father? I remember that actor. He's always in tons of stuff.
Was it Brett Cullen?
Was it him? Okay, I'm trying to remember who the father was. I don't think it was him. I'm trying to.
Yeah, it is. It's Brett Cullen.
Okay, so it's
Brett Cullen. Thomas Wayne in Joker.
Yeah, Thomas. Yeah, I just saw him in something there. So he's about to die. He was gonna split the inheritance because he had a love child. He had like a bastard, kid with another woman, and he was gonna split the inheritance. So of course, rich people shit. Common rich people. He's gonna inherit, and then the son didn't want to split the inheritance.
Yeah, common rich people think their kids are fucking awful.
Yeah, so the little bitch kid, he didn't want to split the inheritance. And then so he had the mistress and the kid, the mistress killed. The kids, he tried to get the kid killed, but Rebecca Ferguson was like, no, okay, that's enough. Then I'm going to step in. She saved the kid. And then Hugh Jackman, when he was accessing the memories of Cliff Curtis, he saw that she was a good person all along, and okay. So then when he figures that out and figures out Cliff Curtis killed Rebecca Ferguson, that's when he tortures him and puts him in a whole loop of when he got burned alive that time. He got set on fire. Puts him in a loop. That I thought that was pretty cool that he made that dude.
That was.
You know what I mean?
That's why I say it's like a horror movie.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you just had to,
again,
loop like
nothing that hasn't been done on Black Mirror and done way better.
So the very, very end, he's like, well, I don't want to live without her. I want to just keep going back and remembering, because throughout the movie he gets addicted, to just hopping in the pod and going back to the memories that he had with her since she isn't around. But now that he knows she's officially dead and he can never be with her again, he decides to permanently put himself in the pod and then be with her forever through the memories. The only thing is, so the movie at the end, you see where he's now an old man. He's got a gray beard and everything. First of all, his beard is the same length as it was. It hasn't gotten any longer, any bigger, but yet it's like he's aged in 20 years. He's got the same length hair and everything. And then it's like, how did he even survive in this pod? Because it's like, does he eat? Does he sleep? I mean, does he even drink water? Does he eat it all? It's like, how does...
Don't do too much.
I didn't see one fucking IV drip. I didn't see nothing.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, but we've seen that happen in a whole bunch of sci-fi stuff where they just floating in a tank. Don't do too much. I just that was kind of weird. It just flashed where he was just like an old man like that. I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Like his hair still looks the same and everything like that. I was like, that just kind of caught me.
I didn't even notice any old man makeup. I just was. Wait, are you saying that if you live in these memory pods, you'll be immortal and you won't age? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I just thought
I didn't even notice any. I didn't notice any old man makeup. I didn't notice his beard. It didn't change to me. His hair color didn't change. He still looked the exact same.
Yeah,
it did.
that just kind of caught me. I was like, that just didn't make any sense. I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, who's keeping him alive? Is Dandy Newton going to him every day and feeding him and supplying him. I was like I just don't know. But yeah, so that's what happened. If you all want to see it, be my guest. If you all want to check it out. But okay, so moving on from Reminiscence, real quick, I'm gonna do a review for The Nighthouse, and it's a movie again I only saw. So The Nighthouse is a drama kind of horror movie starring Rebecca Hall. In this movie here, she plays a teacher who her husband recently committed suicide, and she's dealing with the personal grief from that. I would say the trailer for this movie really doesn't do this movie enough service, because I think the trailer of it, I mean, I get trailers are supposed to, kind of get a large amount of people. You're supposed to get the most amount of people it can. So if you were just to see the trailer, you would think it's kind of like this very generic type horror movie, which is kind of what I thought, kind of be like this generic ghost story horror movie.
You thought that from that trailer?
I don't know. I thought
that trailer scared the shit out of me, bro. Especially when she was looking at that column, and I was like, is that an outline of a face? And then it turned, and I was like, see, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
No.
And and then actually watching the movie, first and foremost, it's, a drama. It's a story about this woman who's trying to really come to terms with her husband's suicide and why he did it, and really searching for answers. And, she's going through the stuff and trying to, find out, kind of what all led up to it. And Rebecca Hall does an amazing job in this movie. She really does. I mean, the, kind of performance she lays on and the grief that you see her with is, really, really impressive. And, like Jenna mentioned, there's some scenes in here like you see in the trailer where, you see kind of the silhouette in certain objects. That is really creepy. When you actually see it in the movie, it's like, yeah, I mean, this whole movie this horror movie is kind of one of the better horror movies I've seen in some years, because it really does creep you out very, very, very effectively. Nice. It does a very, very great job like that.
That's to my list.
And it doesn't do any cheap things, you know what I mean, as far as jump scares. I think there's maybe one in here. And it's very, very tense too throughout the whole movie, when she's constantly trying to discover more and more things about what's happening, and when she's trying to investigate, and she figures out these things about her husband and what was he doing, and maybe he had this whole other secret life, and then this whole element of the Nighthouse, because he was building this other house for them to live in, and it was unfinished, and just kind of the whole element of her trying to interact with him, and even if he is still there, I thought was very, very interesting and very good. And kind of this movie is somewhat of a little bit of a metaphor for also like things like depression, things like grief, things like life after death, which I thought was very interesting. And it was really kind of really thrilling and kind of really creepy to watch. I would even say scary. And I usually don't get scared in horror movies. When people talk about they talk about horror movies in terms of like how scary it was. I'm like, well, what you getting scared for? The shit not real. What you getting scared for? But you know what I mean. But like in terms of something like this, it's like this does a really really good job at building that tension. Playing out those horror moments that really good and not in a cheap way. And I thought it was very very effective. And for me, and this was kind of one of my, kind of the most surprising movie of the year for me, and kind of would be on my list. I have to see how the rest of the year shakes out, but it might be on my best of list, this ending year. Yeah. So for me, I'd give it a strong, maybe 9 or 8 out of 10 for me.
This movie has been getting a lot of positive reviews. This is probably the only movie risk go in a theater and sit in an empty theater just to be scared. Like I feel like the atmosphere of that film and the sound design in that film is probably freaking amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah.
I'm glad that it's getting all these reviews. That and Candy, those are my 2 films I was really excited for.
Yeah. Because I think it does a really really great job. I recommend people go see it. It's a smaller movie, and because when I went, like the theater I went to, and it's a big theater. There were only like 3 showings of the day. It was like 3 showings. That's about it. So, it's kind of smaller. And the director of this movie, his name is David Buckner. Really great job from him. And the screenplay is written by Ben Collins and Luke Poskorsky. So I think this movie is kind of one of the definitely better horror movies I've seen in the past couple of years. Very very great film. All right, so moving on from discussing that, we're going to be discussing something that we've all seen. We're going to be discussing What If. Episode 2. This is What If T'Challa was Star-Lord and people actually liked him. Yes. So we're going to be talking about that.
Yes. He was a great Star-Lord.
This entire episode, it was just dunking on Peter Quill.
I mean,
you know what? Peter Quill kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
T'Challa. T'Challa, he's just a better person than you.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. I mean, he's just a better person than everybody. Yeah. So Nick, you let us know what the episode is all about and what we saw here in episode 2 of What If.
Yes. So episode 2 of What If. So building off of what we saw in the first episode, it's just taking characters that we already know and asking simple what if questions. This is basically Marvel's The Twilight Zone. So this asks, what if Yondu didn't actually come to Earth and he sent his lackeys and they kidnapped T'Challa instead of Peter Quill, like they were hired to do? And we're getting a T'Challa that wants to be an explorer. We don't get to see a lot of young T'Challa, excuse me. So we get that him and Yondu bond over him wanting to like see the entire universe. And we cut to a very familiar scene in Guardians 1, sans Come and Get Your Love. But that scene, it plays out, and Korath, I think is his name, the Jaimin Hansu's character. He's a fanboy for T'Challa. Yeah. And it's so fucking wonderful. And it's a very different performance than we've gotten from Jaimin Hansu.
I thought that scene in particular was actually a great scene. And you want to know what's funny? About this What If series, just overall, I love it so much. I did American Horror Story, not so much, but What If is amazing. And what I like about this one in particular is that everyone's like, oh, we want a black superhero that's just like, he's just a superhero. He's just this. And this is exactly giving us that. To me personally, Like I feel like him just wanting to be an explorer and wanting to just go out there. I could relate to that, but everybody can relate to that. You know what I mean? So they wrote a character where a majority of the audience can identify with him outside of, you know what I mean? The fact that it's clear his character and his roots. But I think he was just, I wish he had been Star-Lord. Like, hi, kid. I kind of wish this was the Guardian Galaxy like we got for real. Like, I like the original ones, but this one was just so much more interesting. You know what I mean? Like, even the character changes with dang, I forgot her name already.
Nebula.
Don't smoke, kids. Don't smoke. Yes, I love this version of her. I really, really do. And it would be nice if they like even made it like this is before she turns into whatever she turns into. But I don't know. I like the variations of it. The variation of Thanos took me off guard. The Thanos variant. Right. That's also how I look at what it's like. It's variant. But no, I really enjoyed this, man. This was like, I love this series so far, from the animation to they just know exactly like enough information for you to get invested, but it moves enough to where it's not lagging. But sorry, I'm fangirling. I love this series, by the way.
Yeah. No, that's very good. Yeah. So, like you said, with this series, with this episode, really get a chance to explore kind of all these, different elements and different things about, what these characters. And I think, as opposed to what happened in the first episode, because we reviewed that. I don't know how you felt about the first episode, but when we talked about the first
we weren't really crazy about the first episode.
Yeah.
We just felt like it was too short, and with the emotional connection, something feels off with the fact that certain people didn't come back to the show to do voices. Something felt off just by not having Chris Evans play Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger issues for me was just that it just felt like the first Avenger, but just condensed into 30 minutes and just gender swapped. I mean, I think that was kind of the bigger issue with me. With the whole episode, I still kind of thought it was decent, but I was just thinking you didn't really do much with the whole what if concept. But this one I think does more with the what if concept, because not only is it is T'Challa Star-Lord, or as Nebula likes to say, Cha-Cha, which I think that's a great
Cha-Cha.
This episode, it does great at exploring the ripple effects of what an event like that would cause, and T'Challa just fucking cracked a cold one with Thanos, and now he's gone straight.
Yeah. You know what I mean? He's great at debates. You know what I mean? And he was able to turn Thanos all around. And you see that when he was this young boy, and he was like I'm tired of living in this bubble that is Wakanda, and and I want to see the world. I want to explore, and see him being him picked up by the ship. And then there is a reason why people say, well, why is he called Star-Lord? It's like, well, he is a lord and he is in the stars, so it makes sense for him to be Star-Lord more than Peter Quill to be Star-Lord.
Goofy.
You know what I mean? So that would kind of make more sense. But yeah, I mean, and in this episode, pretty much everybody's returning voices except for like Dave Bautista, who's not Drax in this. Even though they did get somebody who did sound a lot like Dave Bautista. Like if you didn't probably know they swapped it out, you probably think it was Dave Bautista, because the guy who was voicing.
Yeah, I thought that voice was a little off, but he did a good job.
Yeah, and you see Drax, his family is safe, since Thanos didn't become a whole genocidal murderer. Which people are trying to, even though he's still trying to argue his point is a little bit, it's like, well, no, technically it wasn't really genocide. It's random, so it's not really genocide.
No, it's random.
You know what I mean?
It's genocide.
You know what I mean?
Cool. It's
not really.
It's like cool motive, still murder.
Yeah.
Cool motive, still murder.
Yeah.
But he's right. It is efficient though.
Yeah.
He's right though. You couldn't argue with what he was saying. It was still fucked up. Like.
I don't know, but you know what I mean. Maybe they should have did it, longer episode where they showed that debate between him and Thanos. You know what I mean, back and forth.
Oh, I would have loved that.
You know what I mean?
That would have been awesome.
But he did do some bad things before T'Challa got to him, because Nebula and him still have kind of a shaky relationship, because he did still torture Nebula and do all that stuff to her. So, he still kind of did a lot of bad stuff before he turned around. But now Thanos is a part of the whole.
But he also, it's clear that this is before he ran into Gamora, because she's not a part of this episode.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's not part of this episode, and it explains that. So since Thanos didn't go on kind of his whole rampage to get more power, that vacuum got filled by the Collector. And was that Benicio del Toro doing the voice for the Collector?
Yep, that was him. He reprised the role.
Okay, because it sounded a little bit
not
different.
only that, but the entire not only that, but the entire cast of the Black Order. They came back. So Carrie Coon, Tom Von Lawler, they all reprised their roles as Thanos' henchmen from Infinity War.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. And so this kind of like I said, it's not just Guardians of the Galaxy over again, condensed into 30 minutes, like how kind of I thought the first episode was of like First Avenger. This is like a whole new story. It's telling like a heist. Nebula comes to T'Challa with the whole plan of trying to break into the Collector, who's now all super jacked because he's had all these augmentations and enhancements, and now he's got all these weapons. Like you see in the line of weapons that he has Mjolnir, he has Captain America's shield, he's wearing Hela's headdress that she has. So he's got all these kind of different weapons. So I guess that's presumably supposed to mean people like Thor and people like Captain America are dead, since he has their weapons. And I thought, that was kind of really cool. This whole heist element, they kind of bring in of him trying to do this thing, and T'Challa being a part of the Ravengers, and how he's kind of turned the Ravengers around, and they're like, kind of these peacekeepers of the galaxy and doing all these great things for the galaxy.
Yeah, they've become basically Robin Hood of the galaxy.
Yeah, Robin Leeches of the galaxy, pretty much, as as Michael Rooker was saying. Yeah, Robin Leeches of the galaxy. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows who he is. He's famous, you know what I mean? Everybody, wants to just be around him. It's like he's just this great person that, everybody just knows who he is. And it's kind of awesome. Jenna, what were some of your favorite elements of this episode?
I think my favorite elements of this episode actually was, to me, I don't know, the character design in all of this is awesome. So, and
they had no right to make Nebula look that damn good.
Facts, I was like,
right?
Voice?
I didn't realize that was Nebula for a second. I was like, what?
No, when I finally it took me a millisecond, and I realized she was like, okay, Cha-Cha. I was like, ooh, I like her, but it was pretty much Nebula and the Collector were actually my favorite. Kind of this would be interesting, because the Collector never came off to me as someone who I would be afraid of, right? He didn't really ever come off
he was never menacing in Guardians or in any of his other appearances.
But in this one, it was like, oh shit, he moving at ass, wait, bro, don't go out like that. But T'Challa's relationship, and then him coming back to Wakanda too, I really want, if anything, that I want this version of Star-Lord to be fleshed out, similar to almost like Loki. Give me an episode, an episodic storyline that fleshes this out a little bit more, because T'Challa is such an engaging character. I also got kind of sad though, because Chadwick Boseman, man.
Yeah,
that's my entire twin, and it's like, damn, bro, I love you. He's such an amazing actor, and I'm just so
this entire episode, I loved it, but it felt bittersweet at the same time, because we know that this is probably one of the last times we'll see Chadwick Boseman perform, and we know he's also recorded 3 more episodes for What If.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So we're gonna see this character again.
Yeah. That would be dope. Yeah, because the What If series is prepping super fans to understand that, no, we can have superheroes of different races and genders fill these roles and they be just as good. So shut the hell up. Like, shut up already. Because if we can accept a multiverse, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
let's be real. Peter Quill kind of sucks.
Yeah.
He did. And T'Challa, he's just more engaging. The thing that interested me in this version was Wakanda being, quote unquote, destroyed. And then when he came back, that was my only issue. Because I was like, I wish I would have known, like, what happened in Wakanda. And then, like, I wish they could have introduced, like, Storm and Shuri kind of being Black Panther. I thought that would be a great segue into introducing, like, Shuri as Black Panther. Because when he left, that role, you know what I mean, probably need to be filled.
Right.
So we can get a different Black Panther. It's just, I appreciate them opening up the series and the timelines and giving us the variety that we crave. Like, they're just like Rick and Morty. I like their writing group. They kind of like say fuck you to the snotty ass brats, and I'm here for it. Because we're getting the content that's really good and it's interesting, and we really get to see why we fell in love with these comics and these characters to be with. So I'm really excited, and I think this is the only time I'll ever like my apologies if children listen to this, please don't. But this is the only time that I think I'll ever be a Marvel fan, because I didn't like the movies too much. I didn't care too much for like the Avengers and stuff. It was cute, but those movies don't age well. If you look back to the first Iron Man, it didn't at all.
Wow.
So, but these no, it did. It sucks. But these TV series, I think that's its like strength, is that they can break these up. But Marvel's really good at doing it. So this is just gold mine for them, honestly. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm fangirling again. My bad.
Yeah.
And speaking of Marvel, should we? This entire series is fucking wonderful, especially just off the strength of this episode alone. It really showed the potential of what they can do with this concept of just play around with, hey, let's insert this character here, and how would that affect the rest of the universe?
Yeah.
They do it well.
Yeah.
Really well.
And then, Chadwick Boseman playing, this version of T'Challa as Star-Lord, I think it fulfilled what a lot of people criticized with his Black Panther character to begin with. A lot of people said he was very stiff, boring, and he got very much upstaged by, Killmonger in Black Panther, a lot of people were saying. So this one, I think it shows more of Chadwick's charisma, his personality, his charm, which he is very good at. So I think, with this role, it allowed him to be a little bit more looser and kind of more free. And then I think I was reading something where they were saying, like with Kevin Feige or someone else, they were saying, like, when they actually heard the performance and they saw it in the series, they were like, man, we really want to apply this to Black Panther. We really want to apply this to the next time he plays the role. And, unfortunately now we can't, get a chance to see what that really looks like now, which is unfortunate. But, like Nick said, there are going to be 3 more episodes which involve T'Challa, Star-Lord, which is going to be pretty nice to see him come back. And, speaking of, crapping on Peter Quill, we do get to see him at the very end. And you get to see also Kurt Russell back as Ego, the Living Planet, back again. So he did end up finding Peter Quill working at Dairy Queen. So it's, good shout out to good shout out to Dairy Queen and everything like that. So I think there's going to be a follow up with that whole thing and that whole storyline, bringing that back. Great episode. So rating for this episode, or do you just want to wait till the whole series is over and just rate this episode?
I think you probably wait till the whole series. Well, it's kind of an anthology, so you can kind of rate each episode individually. Yeah. So for me, this episode was 9 out of 10.
Same.
Yeah, I had a great time watching it. For me, 8, a strong 8 out of 10 for me. So yeah, the only thing I kind of wish I don't think, I don't know if they're ever going to do a second season of this or whatever, but I think much similar to like maybe something like Love, Death, and Robots or something like that. It's like some episodes of that series, some are 15 minutes, some are 30 minutes, some are longer. Yeah. I think it should kind of be the same way with What If. Like if a creator came in and was like, well, I got this really great idea, maybe it doesn't have to be just 30 minutes, 34 minutes. It can be maybe if you want to extend it to 40, 50 minutes.
But they're they're not going to do that only because, again, this What If series is setting people up to understand that you finna see Sherry as Black Panther type. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to start seeing these alternate universes and it be canon for a lot of these characters as they move into their phase. I don't know.
This is 4
capitalism.
Now. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
This show, most of it is just dealing with the fallout of Loki, and how that ends, and how that created the multiverse again.
Yeah. So great second episode. Yeah, I really liked it much better than the first one. A lot more. All right, so moving on from discussing What If. Before we get into news real quick, we're going to be discussing Warrior, the TV series. Nick loves so much. We're going to be just me and Nick are going to be talking about that. Nick, lead us off, man. What is Warrior?
So Warrior is a formerly Showtime original series from Jonathan Tropper, who you all know as the creator of Banshee, who, if you guys love The Boys, that's where Anthony Starr got his big break. So this show, it's produced by him and Shannon Lee, of course, Bruce Lee's daughter. And this is based on a concept that Bruce Lee wrote later in his life that unfortunately never got to see the light of day until now. And the show, it's set in 1860s Chicago.
Oh, gotta get the door. Okay, he's got to go get the door real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up where Nick left off. So 1870s San Francisco that this show takes place. Very much talking about the Chinese experience coming over, off the boat into America. So immigrating. Oh, okay. So Nick is back. So Nick, I just said 1870s San Francisco. Talking about the Chinese immigrant experience coming over to America. Yeah. Okay. Passing the ball to you.
Yes, and a lot of this, it's dealing with actual history, and a lot of what led to the Chinese Exclusion Act, which is one of the first U.S. acts that denied someone citizenship based solely on race.
Yeah.
And especially considering the past year we had, it gets very hard to watch it, especially with the just violence and the racist behavior around Chinese people, especially considering last year.
Yeah. Yes. Because watching this show, you're gonna hear a lot of the C word, a lot of the slanted eyes.
Not the CT word, the CK word.
Yeah, a lot of Chinamen. They're gonna be calling a lot of people Chinamen. He's got to go grab the door there again. So yeah, he's gonna be calling. Yeah, a lot of people are gonna be called Chinamen in this. Gonna be a lot of jokes about slanted eyes, things like that, references like that in this. And then they kind of come back. I've never heard this insult for white people before, but they call them ducks. Never heard that insult for white people before. This. So yeah, that was something new for me. But this series, the main lead of it is Andrew Koji. And the whole kind of major premise is primarily he's coming to America to find his sister, and because she also left China, and so he's primarily coming here to find her. While in his midst to find his sister, he joins like this gang called the Tongs that operate in Chinatown. And throughout this series, it's kind of like multiple kind of situations going on where you have this gang war that's going on between the Tongs and another rival gang. You have the political aspect of this where you have corrupt police. You also have you back there, Nick? You also have corrupt police there.
Corrupt police, corrupt racist bitch ass mayor who's probably got the most punchable face I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like, he looks like kind of like one of those evil mayors that you draw in one of those caricature cartoons, like those like funny pages kind of things.
And he even talks like him too.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like 90% of his dialogue is, we have to deal with the Chinese problem.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? And, but I mean, he's got a reason to be mad. I mean, his wife won't touch him anymore, so... You know what I mean? She won't let him touch her.
I mean, look at her and look at him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a clear imbalance there. But yeah, I mean, another about this kind of series is also kind of the action of it, right? And it's a lot of good excuses to
which is the absolute greatest thing about this series. And the stunt coordinator, Brett Shan, I think is his name. He got recognized by the Emmys. He's nominated for Best Fight Choreography for season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of the fight scenes very, very impressive to watch, and especially it's even more amplified by the fact that a lot of time they're beating the shit out of people. They're beating the shit out of just racist kind of people, so that makes it even much better. You know what I mean?
And it's satisfying.
Yeah.
And with this, what's great about it, it's flashy, but you also effective. You feel the weight of every single punch, every single kick, and you know the geography of every single setting where they have one of these fight scenes.
Yeah, and they make real great use of the setting. Like there's one episode where they kind of do like an old school kind of stage situation where like a bunch of robbers come and then they come back to attack the bar, like old school kind of western.
The cowboy episode.
Yeah,
where it takes our lead Assam, who is played by Andrew, aka my man crush, and Jason Tobin, who plays young June, who's kind of like the son of the big leader of the Hopway Tong.
Yeah.
And Jason Tobin, you've seen him around. You've seen him in stuff like Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, he was just in F9 too. He was just in F9, reprising his role from Tokyo Drift. Yeah.
And it takes them out of their setting of Chinatown, and it puts them out on the road in the Old West. It becomes a cowboy. Becomes a cowboy episode, which for me, that's probably one of the highlights of season 1.
Yeah, it was kind of like just classic kind of old school kind of element, because you had like the rich people, and then you had the preacher guy, the priest, then you had the bartenders. It was like like kind of throwback to like old school kind of cowboy western type of stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. And Andrew Koji is a great lead. He really is a really great lead. Really fun to watch.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. Even if he's not the greatest actor, he doesn't get asked to portray characters with a whole lot of range, but the guy is just so charismatic that you can't help but not watch him on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's got natural swagger, natural screen presence that is very good to watch. And in the show when Andrew Koji, when he does finally kind of get his sister, and then he learns about what's happened to her, and kind of her whole role, that's very interesting. The stuff with his sister, and the fact that she's kind of now this leader of this rival gang, and kind of taking on, and she's trying to make power play moves, which is very good. So it brings in kind of the political element, and she's working behind the scenes with a lot of people. That's really great, fun to watch. And like I said, the whole kind of, you also have the police element of this. You also have another character in this who's like the main racist guy in this, who's trying to
leader of the working man's party, who's played. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but you've seen him in stuff like Dean Jagger, who is playing a character named Dylan Leary, who you've seen him as a Little John Umber in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Jen said, "Okay, yeah, okay, you remember? Okay, I know
that's enough for me though. I like him.
He was the guy in the Battle of the Bastards.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's like the main kind of racist guy that trying to draws up like the local support against the Chinese people that live there, and tries to stir up all that support. So you have like kind of like all these major elements coming. You got the political element, you got the working people's element, you got the gang element. That's all kind of coming together. So it's a lot. All these kind of forces that are trying to mix in this San Francisco town. That makes it kind of interesting to watch. Also, you also have Joe Talisman here, who people might know. He just played Sub-Zero in the recent Mortal Kombat movie. He's one of the best things about it. Here, he kind of is just like basically.
You mean the best thing about it?
Yeah, pretty much it. Well, I also liked Scorpion. I also like the actor who played Scorpion too. So he was pretty
Okay.
good. But he's pretty much just like an attack dog, pretty much for the for the rival gang. Where just as soon as something happened,
he is the absolute best fighter on the show, and they make no fucking mistake. They leave no doubt towards the end of the first season as to who's better between him and Assam.
Yeah. So, this was I'm glad Nick told me to watch the show, binging it. Very very good choice. For me, I'm not through with season 1 yet. I'm like almost done with it. But for me, season 1, I really quite liked it quite a bit. I'd give it a strong 8 out of 10. Nick, who you've seen season 1, season 2. What are your big overall positives from both season 1, season 2 in ratings?
Okay, so the big positives from both seasons is, one, the performances from the entire cast. This show, it has no right being as good as it is. You think, it's Cinemax original, it's just trash TV, probably some great fight scenes. And it is all of that, but the performances elevate this. Andrew Koji, he has just so much charisma that he carries this lead. He's so much fun to watch. All the cast is fun. A lot of great Asian leads that would not get a fucking chance like this on a major network, especially considering that HBO Max renewed it for season 3. So good on you, Max. Good on you. Some of the emotional beats, a lot of them really work, especially in the Western episode that you were talking about with Young Jun. He has this moment where that's common with a lot of children of Asian immigrants. It's that you kind of don't really belong anywhere. Especially me, because I'm too fucking white to hang out with the Filipino kids, and I'm too brown to hang out with the white kids. It was like I kind of like had nowhere to go, and that really got me. There are some emotional beats in later, but the greatest thing about the action, it's always escalating. They constantly have a way of tension, especially with all the racial tension between the Chinese population in San Francisco and all the fucking asshole white people. There's always something brewing, and in season 2, it blows up in the most spectacular way. This is absolutely my favorite discovery during quarantine. I fucking adore the show. This is 10 out of 10. I will be watching this. I'm watching it the second the 3rd season premieres on HBO Max.
When is the 3rd season supposed to premiere?
I think they started up production maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know if they have a premiere date yet.
Okay. How did you hear about the show? You just channel surfing or what?
A little bit of channel surfing. I think clips from the show around the time the whole Stop Asian Hate hashtag started trending, and it showed one of the fight scenes during a riot in this show.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very, very much impressed by the show. I mean, definitely the action in it is incredible to watch. And I think it has kind of, I was trying to get into the Badlands for a little bit. I know that's another show you've been telling me about, and I've heard it from other people, the action scenes in the show and everything like with Into the Badlands. But I haven't gotten into that one. Maybe,
unlike Into the Badlands, I think the characters in here are way more well developed than in that show. Even something like Wu Assassins, which I'm a fan of, I recognize it as trash TV, but the character beats in that show don't really work as well.
Yeah, I saw Wu Assassins. Wasn't all that really in love with the show like that. I thought it was the character beats were really weak in that show, and the action wasn't as good as it is in this show either. Because this show does get pretty brutal in the violence, I mean it does, and because the gang that he's a part of these hatchet men, and they carry hatchets.
They're hatchet men.
Yeah, so there's a lot of heads going off, blood splattering, knife, throats being slit, heads being, cut off, fingers, hands, all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty brutal. All right. So moving on from discussing Warrior, we're going to get into some news. So we're going to go through this news, people. The big news that everybody's been talking about around pretty much all the internet is OnlyFans. So OnlyFans, if you probably already heard, but if you didn't, it says OnlyFans will ban pornography starting in October, citing need to comply with financial partners. Here I have an article from Variety here. That I'll be reading here. So it says OnlyFans, which has amassed a base of more than 130 million users, largely for adult-oriented subscription fan pages, announced that it will ban sexually explicit content this fall. But also remember something when I said that for later on, because it also says here that according to OnlyFans creators, will continue, it says, according to OnlyFans, creators will continue to be allowed to post content containing nudity as long as it's consistent with our acceptable use policy. So that's kind of an interesting little kind of tidbit that they put in there. But so the article goes on to say the UK-based company said it's making the changes to comply with the request of our banking partners and payout providers. In a statement provided to Variety, effective October 1st, 2021, OnlyFans will prohibit the posting of any content containing sexually explicit conduct. The company said in a statement, in order to ensure the long-term stability of the platform and to continue to host an inclusive community of creators and fans, we must evolve our content guidelines. So, I kind of wanted to get kind of some of you guys' opinion on this. I was trying to talk to some more kind of OnlyFans workers, people who do specifically work on the site, get their kind of general opinions, and I did get a few opinions about kind of what was going on. Jenna, what are kind of your thoughts here about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite short. It's bullshit. I mean,
yeah,
that it is. OnlyFans. The irony is OnlyFans wasn't always, keep reminding people about that. When it first came out, it wasn't used solely for sex. So the fact that they want to talk about evolving with whatever the fuck, it's like, girl, all you had to do was like basically and then separate your adult content. That's it. Just separate it 18 plus, and you can find a different banking partner. And then just take out a little 2% fee and shut the fuck up. Like, there's so many other sites. I mean, I used to do it. I don't have an OnlyFans, but people was making money. And then you're going to cut this off and then want to tell people to go get jobs. But then y'all want to end unemployment. Like, it's giving rich people don't have shit to do but to fuck with poor people's time. And they're mad that people can make money and survive and provide for their families on a platform that, if it wasn't for these workers, wouldn't even be in today's time. So I feel like them, and then the vagueness, which is basically you basically can be naked, but you can't probably do anything explicit. And it's just like, no. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure someone's going to create a site like OnlyFans and everybody's going to move over there, just like everybody like Tumblr.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think a news story I just saw, Tyga, the rapper, he's launching another competing platform to OnlyFans that will allow the sexually explicit content.
Yeah. It's all about the efficiency of the site and who's running it. And once it picks up, just like Fan Central, whatever that is, the black alternative to TikTok, or I think that's what that is, or fan base app. If you know, it's like fan base app. So, and it's picking up traction. So it's just a matter of time out here because internet, we always want something fresh and anyway. So,
yes, the internet will find a way to get people.
Yeah.
The internet will find a way. Life finds a way.
Boys and girls, women watch just porn as men do. Adults sitting at home are not going to find a way to masturbate their problems away.
Yeah.
Do you see the state of the world right now?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Joss. I just shared the future of OnlyFans. If you don't mind throwing it up onto the onto OBS, this meme I shared you.
Oh, okay. I'll try to get back in the chat there.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad for all my peoples out there on that site though, because it's just when they started capping people's tips, I thought that was bullshit.
Yeah,
and then
that
you
was some
allow
bullshit
Bellator,
too.
Yeah, like they've been on some bullshit.
Yeah, what these fucking like terms and conditions of use? It's make us money, and these don't apply to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, then fuck you.
Oh, I see. So Nick put in the chat, Discord chat I have up here. It says tweet says, "Whoa, that was fast," and then said OnlyFans, but it says Spirit Halloween on it right there. So that's basically it there. But so I've been talking to some kind of OnlyFans workers. So this is what one said right here. I'm just gonna read this. It says, so platform uses sex workers to gain a following. When they want real sponsors, they cut them off. To me, it's just another reason why you need to diversify what you do. It's a shitty thing for the platform to do, but kind of obvious that they would just railroad the creators. Because also, I mean, I guess you could have kind of predicted it, because if you look at this article, it mentions how like top personalities, like internet people, internet famous people, celebrities have OnlyFans page, like Bad Bobby does. Is it Bad Bobby or Bad Barbie? I think it's Bad Bobby.
The Catch Me Outside girl.
Yeah, her. It has like Cardi B, Jordan Woods, Bella Thorne, Tiger, Amber Rose, Black China, Ruby Rose. I didn't know Ruby Rose had one. Is that the? I don't know if that's the same Ruby Rose, or is it's the actress Ruby Rose, or a different one. But
I didn't know Batwoman had one.
Yeah, I don't know. Trey Songz, I know Trey Songz had one.
He was supposed to be having sex. I remember when all these people got him, and people really thought they was gonna see people having sex, and I was like, y'all bugging.
You dumbass.
Yeah, because mostly like. What these actors, what these celebrities do is they kind of post just kind of like they're not really posting anything. Most is like behind the scenes stuff of their projects, things like that. And then OnlyFans, they also take like 20% off of the revenue generated by its 2 million plus subscribers. And so that's kind of a big chunk that they take out. And so with a lot of workers with OnlyFans, they've been talking about like, okay, kind of where they're going to go, where they're going to migrate to. Some people mentioned mini videos, maybe that could be a place where people could migrate to, or something like that.
Streammate.com, y'all, the OG.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like, hey, the internet's built on sex. They'll find a way.
Yeah. Because I mean, Jenna brings up a good point, bringing up like this was founded. OnlyFans was founded in 2016. So it's basically 5 years since it's been around. That's kind of like the typical life cycle sometimes with these social, kind of media websites, apps sometimes, where, kind of like Snapchat. That was around for a little bit of, and then now a lot of people say Snapchat is pretty much dead now. Like a lot of people say like, oh, you still use Snapchat? Why are you still on there? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
For real.
They look at you crazy if you say that. So, maybe this is kind of maybe something good with, maybe it can be taken, and then it can be, somebody can come up with something fresh and new that people can migrate to. Like you said, Tiger's doing something. But like I said, but the whole kind of, you can just maybe post naked pictures and then that's it. And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if people could survive just off of doing that, because I know people do a lot of feet content. So I don't know if they would allow that and that to be on there and maybe make some money that way. But yeah, a lot of people, are concerned about that, about them just taking that away, and kind of with this whole platform, especially since they built the platform. A lot of these sex workers who got, on the platform, they built it, and they built it up to be what it is. But yeah, I mean, you see a lot of people, kind of laughing, kind of trolling, now that they're saying they're doing this, and what are women going to do now that they don't have OnlyFans, and they're going to find a real job. Meanwhile, it's being tweeted by people that says that has that has like gamer in their bio, you know what I mean, that has like podcaster in their bio, like us, you know what I mean. We don't have real jobs, you know what I mean, because this podcast is
speak for yourself, fucker.
You know what I mean. Well, I mean, of course, I mean, this podcast isn't nowhere near successful to be our job. But I'm trying to make it up. Trying to buy a $3 million house. You know what I mean? Trying to get up that money. But
just rent one of those fucking content houses.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
But yeah. So I mean, you do see a lot of that. So do you think? So what do you all think OnlyFans is planning to do now that it's trying to drift away from the sexual explicit content that it had? What do you think they're trying to do?
Declare bankruptcy?
Well, it says here that
I don't give a fuck. They're assholes. I'm sorry. Like,
it says OnlyFans earlier the week did launch OnlyFans TV, which is a free streaming service, and they have paid like $5 billion, or kind of like $2 million plus to creators, I guess, to come to bring content to the streaming service. That's what it says here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm reading a different paragraph. This is just talking about the $5 billion to creators worldwide, according to its terms. That was just to the creators of the site who made the X-rated content. I'm sorry, I'm reading a kind of different paragraph there. But the OnlyFans TV, the streaming service, features original content from more than 100 OnlyFans creators spanning fitness, cooking, comedy, health, music, and more. OnlyFans earlier this year soft launched this on-demand streaming service, which now features a content library of over 800 videos. So I guess they're trying to now, they're doing a streaming thing, trying to drift it there. Maybe make it another Twitch type situation where people can move there and kind of watch videos. Maybe be a competitor to YouTube, because I know a lot of people get sick of YouTube shit with the whole copyright, videos being blocked, stuff that we've had to kind of deal with. And I've only ever shown videos with no sound, and yet they still flag and still block the videos for just showing videos with no sound.
Yeah, speaking of the afternoon tune coming soon to fans.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Offense. So I guess that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to drift into that territory to do streaming service like everybody else and try to kind of drift away from that content. But it is a shame.
How long until it goes the way of Quibi?
Yeah, true. Yeah, if there's like, well, nobody is like, well, we known you for this one thing. Now you want to switch up, be this other thing. I mean, it has happened where, obviously companies change direction, but and still been successful. But how many people will just go to this streaming service like, okay, but I have other things to fulfill that goal, like YouTube and like Twitch, where I could go to do that type of stuff. So, yeah. It'd be interesting to kind of hear the developments of that ongoing. All right, so moving on from discussing OnlyFans, we're going to be discussing just a quick little story about like Ironheart with Black Panther 2. Just a quick little mention of that. So the character is going to be in Black Panther 2. News reports. That's kind of the only real big news we've heard about Black Panther 2 since like the title, because it's going to be called Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever. So that's kind of the only real kind of big news that we've heard about it. I've never read any of the kind of Ironheart comics or read her introduction to the Marvel Universe. And Ironheart is, of course, Riri Williams. So she's going to be in Black Panther 2 before she has her own Disney Plus show, before she's going to premiere her own Disney Plus show. Just real quick, if you all want to give your thoughts on it, just about, where do you all see this leading, Ironheart being in the movie?
I don't even know. I'm not really well versed. Whatever they bring, I'm excited either way.
Yeah, I'm not well versed in the character of Ruby Williams. I think at the time that character debuted, I leaned more into the Miles Morales Spider-Man, because she was a part of that whole Marvel Now initiative. It was her, Miles Morales, and Kamala Khan, and Khan and Miles Morales. Those were the two like big breakout stars, and Riri Williams kind of just fell to the wayside. I'm excited. I mean, after like 3 for 3, Ryan Coogler's got like carte blanche on my wallet.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, discussing Ironheart real quick. We're going to discuss the Eternals. The Eternals just dropped their final trailer that came out. This trailer is a lot more kind of action in this trailer instead of just kind of a lot of them.
You also forgot the biggest thing about that. That editor doing like Salt Bay, sprinkling in that from Academy Award winning director Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao. Yeah, now she's an Academy
like fucking
Award.
Salt Bay on that shit. Adding that.
Yeah, good. So yeah, incredibly good for her. Incredible. That was a great movie, by the way. She won for Nomadland.
I absolutely adored Nomadland.
Yeah, so kind of really good film, which was she directed and won an Oscar for Best Director. And here, so it's a lot more action in the trailer, as you see, kind of a lot with kind of Richard Manning, kind of being, because he's basically they describe him as like the Superman here of the Eternals, and him using kind of laser vision and things like that, super strength. So just to kind of get your thoughts, Jenna, did you see the trailer?
I did not see the trailer.
Okay.
But I've been following it for some time, so like I've been trying to keep up because the Eternals is like the only. There's a lot of Marvel properties I'm not super well versed on, but this was one of those that I was just like, I'm excited for, but I just don't know how it's going to turn out. Because again, just like Ironheart, these are characters that I'm just not used to. I'm always interested though, like how all of this plays into the greater aspect of like their whole grand scheme. But I know about this Angelina Jolie, Kit Harington, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm here for it regardless,
Oh yeah, based on the director and the cast alone, I'm there day one. Especially you're getting guys that have been around but haven't really gotten their big break, like people like Gemma Chan, like Barry Keoghan, Kumail Nanjiani, Ma Dong-seok, who was wonderful in Train to Busan.
Yes. Yeah. I loved his character in Train to Busan. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I may not know the specifics, but I kind of like that with Marvel. Like, I'm starting to move away from just whatever their canon is or things are like originated from, and I'm just I separate those two. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to always relate it back to the source material because I'm pretty sure it's going to be different. But I am like, I guess for this one, I didn't want to see anything. I want to go in kind of, because I saw the Star Wars trailer, but I didn't see this trailer.
Yeah, with the funniest thing was Kit Harington asking the questions that we all are. Why the fuck didn't you help out with like Thanos or like any of the other shit that's gone on in the world? It's like, we were told not to interfere. By who? Mickey?
Yeah. When she says that line, they do show like the Celestial, which is like one of the oldest beings in the entire like kind of Marvel universe, which they descend from.
Yeah, who we saw in the background wielding the Power Stone in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. And they talk about their kind of love of humanity and wanting to protect humanity. And they said the only way they can get involved is if a certain what was that name of the creature they said that they?
I think they called them if deviants get involved.
Yes,
I think that's what they called them.
Yeah, that's the only way they can kind of get involved is kind of attacking the human race and not anything else. So. With this, I think, like I said, what Jenna said, kind of not knowing, I don't know a lot about the Eternals, so I think that kind of, kind of keeps a good mystery about it. They're not, widely seen. I don't think I've ever even seen them in kind of like much in like cartoon media, personally. So, I think that kind of keeps things kind of interesting and like what these characters can do and their potential future, MCU kind of projects is also very interesting. Very nice, and like I said, the movie looks gorgeous too. I mean, it looks really good, and
it's definitely just off the trailers alone, it's one of the best looking Marvel movies.
Yeah,
it is. I haven't seen it, but from the pictures, yeah.
Yeah. Also, okay, so moving on from discussing Eternals real quick, we're going to discuss He-Man. So He-Man is getting another TV show. That is not connected with the Kevin Smith TV show at all because Kevin Smith
man, babies, Netflix is throwing you a bone.
I don't know because I was looking at the YouTube video for this, and the like dislike ratio is not good. I mean, there's way more dislikes than there are likes. It's like five. Last time I checked, it was like 5,000 likes and 13,000 dislikes. So they don't like this either. And so Kevin Smith, he recently just came out with a Netflix show called Masters of the Universe Revelation. And so, but there's going to be another one, which that's also going to be on Netflix as well, which they partnered with Mattel Television for another He-Man series, and this one's going to be called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, a CGI anime series, which shows He-Man and his powerful friends. I'm not really the biggest fan of CGI animation. I just don't think it looks particularly all that good. Don't really like looking at it particularly. Mm-hmm. And this one, I mean, looks like with this series, they're trying to gear more towards a younger audience, a more, kind of maybe under 12, I would say, kind of audience. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't think that this is going to try to appeal. If you watch He-Man in the 80s, I don't think this is probably going to be for you if you are a person like that. I think it's kind of more geared towards kind of the younger kids. And I could see it drawing comparisons to something like the very recent She-Ra series, just in terms of it being for kind of a younger audience. Nick, what did you think about it?
It looks like a run-of-the-mill kids animated show that I'm probably gonna put on next time I babysit my niece and nephew.
Yeah. It looks like it could have some good action in it. I don't know if I'm gonna necessarily watch it because due to how kind of kid it looks, I don't know if it's going to hold my interest there. It just looks like it's trying to really capitalize on like a lot of trends that's going on in kids animation. Jenna, did you get a chance to see the trailer for this at all, or no?
No.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
bro, I'm telling you right now, I just like came out of school, so there's like so many things I need to catch up. Haven't really catched up on, and He-Man is not really like, I was born in the 80s, but like it's always going to be an 80s property, and I don't have much nostalgia with it, so I wasn't really checking for it like that anyway. I'm sure it'll be cute, but yeah, I'm good, dog.
Yeah. I don't think this is particularly going to be something that's going to interest older people. That what they want, that what they didn't get out of the Kevin Smith He-Man, I don't think they're gonna find here in this one for sure. So yeah, it's hopefully you know what I mean. They can figure out maybe something that will please those people who want something specific from He-Man that they're not getting. All right, so moving on from discussing that, we're going to discuss the Star Wars Visions trailer that dropped here. It combines Star Wars with anime, which makes sense because a lot of the Star Wars, a lot of the inspiration behind the Jedis was from samurais, from Japan. That was kind of one of the more kind of influential things with it. So it kind of makes sense that you bring it here, and the trailer does look pretty cool. You have like 9 these totally different styles and animations that you have in these kind of collective of shorts that's going to be premiering on Disney Plus. What did you all think about the trailer and the look of it?
That trailer looks sick. I'm not even a big anime guy, but I really liked how kind of off the wall and how varied the different art styles are. Because you have studios like Kamikaze Douga who did stuff like Attack on Titan or Batman Ninja. You have Kinema Citrus who did stuff like Black Bullet. A lot of well-respected anime studios coming to do Star Wars. It's really cool, and it's kind of indicative of a point in this franchise where, honestly, this probably should have happened a long time ago. You probably could have done stuff like this way earlier.
It's another instance of how I think sometimes it surpasses the original, in my personal opinion. I've always had my issues with Star Wars, just philosophical point of view. It was giving white liberalism, but it does, like, girl, bye.
Right.
But I also enjoyed the world building. I've always enjoyed the world Star Wars, and I always like the cartoons. You know what I mean? Like the offshoots of it. They always just seem more interesting to me. So I'm always down when they do offshoots of Star Wars in different styles because you just get a little bit. You just get something interesting and a lot more creative. So when I saw this trailer, I was geeked.
Yeah, some of my favorite Star Wars media, it's all been the stuff in animation, like Clone Wars. Even the Star Wars Clone Wars series is fucking great. Rebels, it has
it's good.
And I've dug the shit out of the Bad Batch in what few episodes I've seen.
I liked it too. Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's why I'm not like I'm geeked for this. I wish they would have done this with actually not Afro Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack, I would have loved to see this style when they had brought it back and revamped it in this type of like different, you know what I mean, different styles. I think ever since I seen that in I always mess up that title. Love, Death, Sex, Robots or whatever.
Oh, Love, Death and Robots.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always thought that this was like I like that type of variation of style. So I'm here for it. And I guess I'm not too keen on where this is in the whole Star Wars expansive universe.
Oh, it's all over the place. You have stuff with like alternate history based on Japanese lore, with Jedi and the Sith. You have an episode that's after the Rise of Skywalker. You have stuff set before the Phantom Menace. So each episode is kind of like going in different points.
But it's within the timeline, basically, though.
Yeah. Okay. You see the kind of different.
Star Wars.
Yeah. You see kind of the different art styles, kind of like that will kind of remind you of kind of some big animes. Like if you see a very Hayao Miyazaki kind of style with one of the shorts that you see. You see kind of like this black and white type of short that kind of remind you of kind of like Lone Wolf and Cub, like very early samurai kind of movies. You see a style that kind of reminds you of like kind of newer animes. It's kind of more cleaner look, like more the kind of animes like maybe like Demon Slayer or something like that, kind of that fresher look of anime. So you see kind of these kind of different styles they're doing with the platform and what they're doing. I think that's really cool. I think maybe very similar to something kind of like people mentioned in the style like the Animatrix or like Love, Death and Robots. Kind of like these kind of different ideas, different stories. Different creators coming on to play with Star Wars, which I think is much needed to give it some new life, some new energy, into Star Wars and make people kind of shake it up a little bit, which I think is pretty nice. So yeah, I'm a fan of the trailer. Excited to see what comes. When is this coming out? Does it have a premiere date? I'm trying to see here.
September.
September 22nd.
September
22nd, I believe.
Oh yeah, there you go. 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, can't wait for it. Yeah, it looks really, really good. All right, so I've got two last topics and then we're out. So
thank God.
So we're all we're gonna give a quick tribute to Sony Shiba, the martial arts legend. People might have seen him in Kill Bill. That was kind of one of his bigger roles there. Very much a legend. He was the guy that the bride went to make the samurai sword. He worked the restaurant there. He's also been in classic martial arts films like The Street Fighter, Hunter Dark is one. So yeah, I mean he's had a long career that spanned like 5 decades because he started out in the 60s and came all the way up until the 2010s. I know Nick is a big fan of martial arts stuff. So Nick, what have you got for Sony Shiba there?
Sony Shiba, what can you say about him? He's one of the greatest on-screen martial artists. Without him, you wouldn't have gotten guys like Jackie Chan or Jet Li. He was kind of like one of the first guys, especially in Japan. And especially Japan, he became one of the greatest action stars ever, to the point where guys like Quentin Tarantino were reaching out to him to be in Kill Bill, which those were very much inspired by Kurosawa samurai movies. And it just goes to show, fucking COVID's a serious thing. It fucking kills people. Wear your goddamn mask, get vaccinated.
Bruh.
Yeah.
He wasn't vaccinated. Let me be quiet. Never mind. I can't. It depresses me. Death happens. We're all going to die. Didn't agree to it. I want my refund. You know what I mean? but like there's avoidable deaths, and then there's death, nigga. Like you know what I mean? The fact that we lost. I mean, yeah. It was Sonny Shiva for me, always Bruce Lee and like Jackie Chan. Like these are people that I grew up on that got me even interested in martial arts and just the entire culture in general. So for me, it's just kind of a drag because it reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, I instantly thought Kill Bill, and I was like, yeah, like where he been at? When can we get another movie? And then I started thinking about Marvel. Why he not doing them? Like it'd have been so interesting to like see that crossover, but now we'll never like get that type of talent, that type of just dedication, magnetism. Just you're just not gonna get this legend. Like, you're just not. So
yeah,
it sucks, but hopefully a lot of folks will start like checking out his work and like understanding just what he contributed to film too, because I think people underestimate like these films change entire cultures and just ways we do film and tell stories. So yeah, it kind of blows for real.
Yeah. And this is a guy like he had like a black belt in 6 martial arts. Heavily trained, martial, and he's like one of the godfathers of, why we see kind of the successful martial arts film, from people like, Jet Li, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, he was the founder of the Japanese Action Club, which was pretty much a collective of martial arts actors trained to promote realistic technique in Japanese cinema.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he's a legend. I, highly recommend checking out some of his movies, watching him and his legend and kind of looking back at his whole career. Very, very excellent stuff. All right. So, rest in power to Sonny Shiba. And it's funny that we're going to, we just got done respecting an Asian person, and we got to go to maybe potentially dragging another one here. You know what I mean? So we're going to be talking about Awkwafina. Oh, hey, thank you, Sun Baby. Thank you for the follow there very much. I think with that follow, I think with that, we just hit 50. I think with that follow. I think with that one.
No, we're still at 49.
Oh, so okay. So
okay.
Yeah, sorry to burst your bubble.
Okay.
I mean, just like my love life. Just like my love life. You get excited and then disappointment right after. You know what I mean?
All right.
Woo.
So we're gonna be talking about Awkwafina. So recently, Awkwafina has been kind of talking about her again, going viral for a black scent, as they call it. And a lot of this is kind of due to her kind of popping up again. Like she's going to be in the Shang-Chi movie. It's coming out, so it's a high-profile movie. She's starring in it, and kind of those kind of things kind of are coming up again, especially on Twitter. People like dragging up that kind of stuff like that, just out of nowhere. All of a sudden, people just bring up like, "Oh, you come here! I ain't done shitting on you yet." So that has happened now, and it was a big thing when she was in Crazy Rich Asians. I know that was like a big thing people talked about when she was in that movie. It's also kind of a thing because I know when I first saw Awkwafina way back, it was when she was on a show called Girl Code, and she kind of also had like a little bit of a rap career. A little bit of that too. She has like rap music videos that you can check out that's on YouTube as well. So that's kind of was my first ever exposure to her and what she did. Just to kind of get kind of opinions kind of around the room here. So what do you think about kind of Awkwafina and the whole kind of black scent?
Yeah, Nick.
Fuck me. Yeah, that shit's not fucking cool. It's very clearly appropriating at somebody else's culture, especially in interviews she's talked about not wanting to do a stereotypical Asian accent, and I don't want to like do something that could be construed as like a minstrel. And yeah, this entire phase of your career where you were doing exactly
that's how she got popular. Her name alone, Aqua. The thing is that this isn't new when it comes to black and brown. I grew up in Oakland, California, so for me, it's because black culture and like brown culture mix so much, so it's more of an exchange. But like they still high key know like the line. You know what I mean? They don't be. But we know. I've seen a whole bunch of Asian folks use the N word and things of that nature, and just like this kind of, like we're kind of urban. It's more like an appropriation of what they think is urban or cool. You know what I mean? Right. And what's more modern. So it's like minstreling that, and Black people tend to represent that because we set the trends. Let's just be real. So for me, it was like, girl, I've much rather been like, yeah, I ain't gonna cap. I was rolling my neck and minstreling, what I thought was urban Black culture to get ahead because I'm brown and I thought I can get away with it, but now I'm not doing it no more. And then just stop. Like, girl, it's not that deep. We already knew who you was. You're getting dragged righteously so, but because you're not even being transparent about it, like you still trying to pussyfoot around like, no, girl, you got famous off of doing all this, and now that you with these white people, all of a sudden you want to talk regular.
Okay. So I'm gonna bring
a Disney check.
So I'm gonna bring up a scene that a lot of people talk about. So if you guys want to check out the stream in order to hear the scene, if you can, I think I got the sentence right. So it's from Ocean's 8. I don't know if you all ever seen that movie before, but
no.
Okay,
I had to turn it off.
Okay. So it's the scene where she's kind of first introduced. That it happens. It's the card trick scene. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and just to hear if she does it. So if you guys want to check out the stream real quick, you and Jena want to just check it out and then hear it, and then let me know if you think that this is kind of a black sin in what she's doing here.
All right, here's how we play. Red is money, okay? Follow the queen. 3-card Monty. Okay. Follow the queen. Live your dream, but don't sleep. Don't sleep. Because she might disappear. Saw that? Sweat, right? Yeah. She came back, though. She likes you. All right, let's hit it, and we're following.
Okay, so no idea.
Yeah, I was like, I don't hear anything.
Okay,
yeah,
so
we don't hear anything.
Okay, so that's my bad. But I'm probably going to clip it in later then. But so if you see that kind of that scene there from Ocean's 8 there, then you would kind of see she is kind of doing a little bit of kind of, you hear that black scent kind of come out there. And I know she's talked about it before, and she stated how much she is from New York, and kind of how grew up, situation where she talked, but I heard the area where she grew up in is a very affluent area in New York, or it's kind of a good area in New York. Also, and people will say like, well, if you're saying that she talks black, you're admitting that black people talk a specific way. I mean, there is language and vernacular.
You do.
You know what I mean? I mean, obviously people know the term AAVE. You know what I mean? That kind of comes up in people, words, phrases, things like that. I mean, that belongs to, certain words and phrases you do associate with, one culture of people and things like that. So, I know that those kind of situations come up though. And, you see her kind of other stuff when she, like when in some situations it's like, well, that was a particular movie role that may have required her to maybe have some sort of a accent or things like that. But, I know she has another show called Nora from Queens, which I checked out a clip of that show, and it doesn't seem she's talking that way at all. Like how she talks in Ocean's 8. And now, Awkwafina, her career is really blown up. She's been in Oscar-nominated movies, The Farewell, which she was very great in, The Farewell, yes, which was an excellent movie. One of my favorite movies of that year when it came out.
Yeah, she's great in The Farewell. She's great in Ryan, the Last Dragon, and I really liked her in the third Jumanji movie.
She's great. That's when I'm like, girl, just like you're a great actress, and I feel like she was just garner more respect.
Address it, apologize, and
move on. Like,
fucking make a donation somewhere, and
yeah,
girl, it's 2021. We have Trump supporters living next door to us. We don't give a shit. It's
it's 2021. It's 2021. We have to have a fucking public debate as to whether or not it's bad.
Yeah. And like Jenna mentioned before, I mean, Black and Asian cultures, I mean, that those have kind of mixed heavily. and definitely showing appreciation, especially, Black people's love of martial arts films, seeing people like Jackie Chan, like Bruce Lee, like Jet Li, things like Romeo Must Die was a kind of big thing, started Aaliyah, one of the biggest, Black stars at the time, and starring Jet Li, one of the biggest Asian stars at the time. Very much, of course, with Wu-Tang, with RZA's music. I mean, RZA, I've never seen a Black man that loves Asian people more than the RZA, or wants to be Asian more than the RZA.
What are you talking about? I thought he was Asian. I saw G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Asian. I saw him play Blind Master.
Yeah. I mean, he was the blind master in G.I. Joe. I mean, it's like Jesus, man. So this, people, when these conversations come up, a lot of people say like, well, you're saying like, appreciating somebody's culture is bad or things like that. It's like, no, appreciation isn't bad, and sharing culture isn't bad. It's just that when you use that culture to come up and then you toss it to the side when it's necessary, like something like Miley Cyrus, like something like that you saw with Justin Bieber. They use it for cool points. Katy Perry. The list goes on and on.
It becomes a commodity, like legit. If you want to get like intellectual, you're commodifying people's culture in exchange for exploitation for money. Yeah, and we all get exploited by capitalism, and we all contributed, not by choice, granted. So I understand, like, we're not blaming you for the state of the world, but you have a choice now to stop participating to some degree. So, like, just man up, because when you do that, it basically reinforces on a subtle level that, like, Blackness or urban culture, right? Urban can just be packaged and resold. And, you know what I mean? There's a disconnection with it. It's just because, like, she was hired for those roles. And that's the other side of the story that people like to ignore. Like, the people who hired her and wrote that role just as much to, like,
they deserve just as much shit as fucking she does.
Yeah. And because if it wasn't Awkwafina, they was going to find somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, another person who was kind of feeling that was Ken Jeong. I know that was what Ken Jeong did a lot in his career because when you first saw him, he was in The Hangover and he kind of did that. It was like, hey, the funny thing is like he's an Asian guy but talks kind of like a Black woman.
He's a little sassy.
Yeah.
He's a sassy kind of sissy Asian, which is an old Asian minstrel, actually, like the sissy Asian.
Yeah. Fuck him.
But he kind of,
I hate that fucking guy.
But he's kind of moved away from that a little bit, kind of in his career a little bit. Because I remember first seeing Ken Jeong like a little bit he has. I mean, because I remember first seeing Ken Jeong way back when he was in like Knocked Up. He had like a small part in that movie. Well, he was the doctor in that movie, and he before he started acting, he was a doctor, and he had kind of a small part in that. But his first big breakout thing was the Hangover, and then that's what people knew him for, was being that type of character, and then he proceeded to play that for a lot of years after that. I mean, he's a little bit of that in Crazy Rich Asians. He was also in
Community, where they actually know how to write for him.
Yeah, in Community he wasn't. Right? In Community he wasn't really that character, but in Crazy Rich Asians he kind of was again to a degree. But I mean, this is not hating on Awkwafina. I think Awkwafina is very talented. She's a good actress, and to see her career kind of rise from what it was, it's impressive to watch because, like I said, I saw her when she was like on an MTV show. This is back when they didn't show ridiculous 16 hours a day on MTV. You actually had other different shows that would come on the network. So to see kind of how like she started there, and then now you see her in kind of these big movies like Ocean's 8, and then Farewell, which is an Oscar nominated movie. And now she's in this big MCU film, Shang-Chi. So yeah, I mean, that's impressive to see her career rise like that. And it's important to kind of just address these issues head on, and kind of talk about what it's all about. So yeah, all right.
And say thank you. Thank you, Awkwafina.
So say thank you to Black people, Awkwafina. Yeah. For real. Yeah. Donate to some causes. Do your thing. You know what I mean. Show up. Maybe not try to rap
again. Donate some stuff.
Yeah. Don't try to
Never
rap again. Yeah. I don't think that was kind of one of your strongest skill sets there was rapping. But yeah.
No, thank you.
All right, people, we are out. And actually, I just refreshed the Twitch page, so we are at 50 followers. We are.
Thank
So
you so much.
so we are. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sun Baby, for coming in for being the 50th follower. So now we're qualified. We got this. So now it's just having an average viewership of 3 people, and we will be affiliated status. So thank you so much for that, Sun Baby. That was much appreciated.
Are you gonna hire me yet?
Yeah, you'll get paid what
Nick. Hire?
You'll get paid what Nick is getting paid. 0.00. That's what you're gonna get paid.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yep. You got an extra decimal point.
Yeah, I get
extra 0.
Yeah. I just gave Nick a raise. I improved him from 0 to 0.00, so I gave him a raise. So maybe we try to fit you in the budget.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but Jenna, you're gonna be back again because you're coming next week. You're gonna be reviewing Candyman with us next week, and we're gonna bring on some other people too. We're gonna bring in Jenny too. Jenny's gonna come in there because I want to discuss the Beatles documentary that's gonna come on Disney Plus. Disney Plus. So I'm gonna be one to talk about that with her. The Peter Jackson Beatles documentary called Get Back. Also Reese, who was also on the show a couple of weeks ago with us discussing Gunpowder Milkshake. She'll be back as well. She wants to talk about Candyman. I asked her to come on, so I think you definitely will get along with Reese. And Jenny, you know Jenny though, right?
I believe I do. Yeah.
Yeah, Jenny. Yeah, Jenny.
I think I do.
Yeah, the artist Jenny. So yeah, I think so it's gonna be three women on the show and the 2 of us, hanging out. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So people check out next week for Candyman. That's probably the biggest thing coming out next week. That's the only thing I know of coming out next week.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that's out next week.
Yeah, I got to look at the other screenings to see what else is kind of gonna come out next week. But yeah, Candyman is.
I'm going are they doing like night before screenings?
Yeah. They should be. Like, I know AMC does them. I don't know about your particular theater, but usually they do. But I have to.
I live in Ohio.
Yeah. So that's kind of the biggest thing. Also, we're going to be talking about Superman and Lois season 1. That series, the season just ended today with this final episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to be reviewing. We reviewed the pilot before. But now we're going to be reviewing the whole season since it just ended, and I've been hearing a lot of great things about it. I heard it kept up the great quality from the pilot episode, so I can't wait to kind of talk about that. And also Titans, since Titans also coming back season 3, we're going to be talking about season 1 and 2 of that since that premiered. I saw season 1 of it. I know a lot of people were harsh on Titans and kind of stuff like that. I kind of was one of the people.
As they should be.
I was kind of one of the people who's like, it's kind of decent. I don't know. It's fine, I guess. So we're going to be talking about Titans coming up there next week. So to all you great people out there, Nick, where can people find you?
You can find me, Twitter, Instagram, at Night and Day Nick. Jenna, where can they find you if you want to be found at all?
Yes, on Instagram. They pulled the Donald Trump.
Oh,
I'm banned from Twitter.
You got banned from Twitter? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm banned. I have to get a new phone. I'm not doing it. So you can catch me on Instagram, Damn Jena, DAMNJENA. And that is where I do my photography and all this other good stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, very much so, yeah. And with the Afternoon Tune, of course, we are streaming on Twitch. Just hit 50 followers. Hey, let's get to 100. You know what I mean? That's the next goal now. Yes. So twitch.tv/The Afternoon Tune. Of course, you can check us out on all the social medias. TikTok, we are at The Afternoon Tune. We're also on Instagram, The Afternoon Tune. We're also on Twitter, at The Afternoon Tune. TikTok has been really good. We're picking up a little bit more followers on TikTok. We just had a video that hit 1K for the first time, which is pretty nice. We had so that's pretty good. We had another video that was close to hitting 2K last time I checked. So So that was also pretty good. So yeah, getting some good views on there, posting those clips on there, getting some more followers on there. That's pretty good. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/theafternoontune. You can also email us at theafternoontune@gmail.com. We are also wherever you listen to podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Afternoon Tune, Spotify, The Afternoon Tune, Anchor, The Afternoon Tune. If you will be so grateful, please leave us a good 5-star review if you feel so inclined, good review, or just leave a good detailed review of the podcast, good constructive criticism. Of course, we're also on YouTube. At youtube.com/afternoon. You can check us out there, uploading, kind of the full shows there, clips, things like that from the show if you want to check it out. So, to all you great people out there, thank you again, Jenna, for joining us, and hope to see you again next week and with us. And to all you great people out there, don't forget to stay